Hello and welcome to our very special Friday night video with myself, Jonny McFarlane, and of course, out in Portugal, showing us that fantastic view from his balcony, from his apartment right on the beach, Mr. Derek Clark, who's been with Rangers all day. Derek, it's been a long day for you, pal.
It has been, but it's been pretty good. Johnny was down at the training ground earlier on. They were quite accommodating. Let us see the first 15 minutes. Of course, we put up the video. You can see little snippets of the training on our social media account. So that was good. Then we went back to the hotel, spoke to a number of players and the manager. And it's brilliant. Yeah, it was fantastic to get close access to the players and the manager. And then I get a tour of the training ground as well, which I must say is world class, Johnny. It really is top class stuff. There's an article coming out at the weekend about just how fantastic that is. So, yeah, what a day. Feeling a bit tired now, right enough. But, the what you have to do for the Rangers review, Johnny. But I'm glad to take one for the team today.
Yes. I mean, Derek, I would swap with you in a heartbeat, but yeah, let's just leave it at that. You've done a good job today, no doubt about it. Let's get stuck into some of the issues that have come out on the back of the today. First of all, we understand that Ianis Hagi's injury is going to take a little bit more time to clear up than perhaps we first thought. We initially thought it would be perhaps September, October time when he would be back. But looks like it's going to be potentially after the World Cup break, although not 100% defined in terms of the timeline. But it means that anyone that's thinking that, you know, Alex Lowry and Ianis Hagi, sorry, it's been a long day for myself too. Will replace Joe Aribo's number 10 for this season. You know, that's not going to happen because it's going to take Ianis a little bit of time to get back to full fitness, etc., etc. So it really has been a serious injury for him.
Yeah, it has, and I wonder if that has just prompted the signing of Tom Lawrence, who was announced a short while ago. I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will be looking at him to go and try and get goals from midfield. But yeah, huge blow. Initially, remember, we thought it would be the start of August. His dad was coming out saying that he was on track. Everyone was led to believe he was going to be ready for maybe not the start of next season, but it's particularly August at least. So a huge blow. If that's the case, that'll be almost a year on the sidelines. Well, it will be when he comes back because he got injured in that Scottish Cup game against Stirling Albion, didn't he? And yeah, a huge blow. ACL. It's going to take him some time to get back up to match sharpness as well. It's okay coming back and getting fit, but then you need to get games under your belt. So, I mean, you could be talking pretty much the majority of next season he could be out for, which is a big blow. Like you say, Johnny, we're speaking on these briefings saying with Aribo set to join Southampton, Hagi, it's an opportunity for him to not only come back into the side, but play centrally. He's went on record, remember, saying he wants to play in the centre. But not having him for the majority of next season it's a killer blow, unfortunately. But Rangers just need to look for different players to step up, and you just need to deal with injuries like that. Unfortunately, it was innocuous as well, wasn't it? Ibrox against Stirling Albion wasn't really a bad challenge on him, but let's just hope he can get back to near his best when he comes back, but he won't be back for some time.
Yeah, Alan, I don't think it's so much as something's caused the setback as it's just a very complicated injury to have sustained, and it's one that you just have to be very, very careful with. I remember the situation with Michael Malls. It took him a long time to come back, and there were various sort of stagger steps in terms of the situation. Now, that's a long time ago, and ACL recovery has improved vastly since then. But you're still in a situation, I think, whereby people are very, very reticent to place a timeline on it because these things are such that your body can react in different way to different stimulus, and it might take what initially they thought was 1 week, might take 5 weeks, etc., etc. and the different stages of the recovery process can be elongated because of that. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think if you're talking about him coming back roughly about the time the World Cup break begins, it's not going to be the whole season or the majority of the season, because remember, there's still a fair bit of football to be played, Derek. I mean, the games...
You're talking January, Johnny.
Yeah, but that's still half the season to go. But I mean,
but then that's what I'm saying. It's all right coming back and being fit. He won't have any games.
Yes.
When he comes back, so he's going to have to get a run of games. So that's bleeding him back into the side. Then you're hoping there's not a recurrence. It's just going to take an amount of time. I think we should just rule out Ianis Hagi for the time being, unfortunately, as cruel as that sounds. But big blow.
Yeah, fingers crossed that Ianis is back and sort of recovered and back to his best as soon as possible. He's a fit lad, so you just got to hope that he can get himself to a place where he's performing at his very best. There's no doubt that he can be a really, really terrific player, and he's got many, many years ahead. So that's what he'll have to focus on. The other thing, I suppose, with Ianis Hagi is that he's only got a year left in his contract at this stage. So when he comes back, he won't have an awful lot of time to kind of make himself really indispensable for Rangers.
Yeah,
I would like to see Hagi sign a new contract. I've got to be honest, Derek. I don't know what you think on that one. I suppose much will depend on how he recovers from this injury. But it's actually 2024. Sorry, his contract expires. So just checking myself there. So he's got another year after this season. So he's got time. But I would like to see him tied up for a little bit longer and just ensure that he's there for the long term, because I think at the age that he's at, he's got plenty more to offer.
And I think that rules out, Johnny. There was reports that Galatasaray might be interested in him. It rules out any club coming in for him, so you don't need to worry about him being offloaded at this point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the new signing, we talked about him this morning. Lawrence is clearly a good player, Derek, from everything that we've seen. Has a lot to offer and will be coming in to bolster those kind of positions. Having spoke to Gio today, having kind of been around the place, I know he wasn't there, but was the kind of general thought process on this a very upbeat one over the signing?
Very much so. I asked the manager about him, and he's really excited to have him. The fact that he's got a bit about him, he's got the physicality, I think, that will make him suited to Scottish football. We all know about the off-field issues, but for me, I think on a free transfer, you're bringing in the Derby County captain. He actually touched on that, the manager, when I asked him about it. He said you've got to have something about him if Wayne Rooney makes you captain of the football club. So they're bringing in a leader, and I think you can't have too many leaders, Johnny. And I think it's a guy with bags of experience. He's played at not the top level, but he's played at a very, very good level for a number of years now. Can get goals from midfield, can drive from midfield. Not afraid of taking shots from distance as well, which has sometimes been a criticism of Rangers. They're trying to walk the ball into the back of the net. So I think this was a very good bit of business from Rangers, getting him in on a free transfer, 3-year deal, I'm led to believe, with an option of a fourth. He's at the right age, peak footballing years, 28 years of age, capped by Wales. I think it's a terrific signing to get him in the door, because a number of clubs were obviously sniffing about him. But for Rangers to get him in is, terrific.
Yeah, and on a free transfer as well, if you look at the 3 signings that have been made so far, Suter is an established Scotland international, Cholak has got 3 caps for Croatia, and now we've got a guy who's coming in with over 20 caps from Wales. That's a total spend of around £2 million for the 3 players.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Rebo fee and the question marks around, is it 6 million, is it 10 million? Even if it is 6 million, Rangers have added 3 international footballers for a third of the price that they've brought in. So that tells you that there's been a little bit of wheeling and dealing done. And Derek, these are the kind of signings. I'll take Suter out of it because obviously we've discussed him in depth. I think that's a really good signing. These are two are kind of signings that you look at when you first hear the names and you go, I'm not so sure about that. But the more that you look into these players, the more you kind of delve into their numbers, into the kind of players they are, in terms of the ability to grab goals, which I think has been so important for so long for Rangers. Going against the low block, grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, and relying on players that can put the ball in the back of the net. These, to me, strike me as two players that can do that, and for, I think, a very reasonable fee. And the more I read about them, Derek, the more of these scout reports that I'm commissioning for the Rangers Review and going through, the more I feel like these are two very, very clever pieces of business. Now, any transfer can go wrong. Any transfer can fall apart and be poor value. We've seen it happen plenty of times. But I've always sneaky that both these players are going to be excellent additions.
Yeah, I totally agree, Johnny. I think in Lawrence, I know that not many fans might be aware of him, but I mean, I've seen him twice and he impressed me both times. Scored 2 screamers in both games. So as soon as I heard Rangers were linked with him, I was keen on that one getting finalised. Of course, playing for Rangers is completely different than playing for Derby County. We know that, but I think the Rangers fans will really take to him. Of course, I've seen the tweet we put up earlier on when he had an altercation with James Tavernier in a pre-season friendly. But I like that. The comment coming in saying that sometimes the Rangers players are too nice. Well, if you've got the likes of Lundstrom and Lawrence in the middle of the park, that is a robust midfield duo. You'd imagine Lawrence will be playing further up the park, of course, but there's not going to be too many midfields that are going to get the better of the Rangers midfields, if that's how it's going to line up next season. The question is he good enough to get the team into the Champions League? That's a big talking point, of course, if these players can do it. That remains to be seen, of course. He's not played at that sort of level. I know he was at Man United as a kid, but for me, as I mentioned before, on a free transfer, he and Cholak for £1.8 million, terrific business savvy to bring them in for such low fees. No fee with regards to Lawrence, of course, and with the money that comes in from Aribo, it leaves that little bit extra as well, and there will be money set aside, I'd imagine, to strengthen even further. Van Bronckhorst has said he's looking for more additions. I think Rangers need another striker, and of course we've talked about that right wing, and Tom Lawrence can play out there, but I don't think that's his most favoured position. So I'd imagine they'll be looking to bring someone else in. So certainly encouraging over the last 24 hours, Johnny. A lot of fans were getting a little bit uptight about the lack of activity with regards to incomings and even outgoings as well. But it looks like things are starting to get moving in the transfer market. And those two, alongside John Souttar, I think it's a great window so far. But again, the proof will be in the pudding when the games start.
If you're looking at the Rangers squad as it stands, Derek, with these two new players added, there's not an awful lot of work that needs to be done. However, there will be players going out the door. One player who isn't at the training camp is Kemar Roofe. Fraser Watt is asking any word on Roofe. Kemar Roofe is, according to the club, injured at the moment and unavailable. He was injured, I think, last week. Was it, Derek, they said?
Yeah, Auchenhowie, yeah, just before they left for Portugal, he got injured. So it's just been the story of his career, unfortunately, for Kemar Roofe. On his day, when he's fit and firing, he's a brilliant player, probably the best finisher at the club. But unfortunately, you simply just can't rely on him being fit enough. He might play a handful of games, then be missing for a few weeks. And for me, Rangers need more robust players to rely on. Of course, Morelos is out as well, so you're looking at Cholak to being the main man, but you need another one. Van Bronckhorst has said that he doesn't want to go in.
Derek, just before we go any further on this, did you see Morelos at the training today? Because I know there was some chat of him. He was actually on the training pitch, but I didn't see him in any of the pictures that were coming in.
Yeah, he was at the hotel. I seen him when we were sat down. I seen him walking down by the pool, so he was there with the squad. Yeah.
Okay, cracking. Right, listen, just on Kemar Roofe, I don't think there's any doubt that Kemar Roofe, when he's fit and firing, to use the cliche, is a really good player and would provide excellent service to Rangers. We've seen it over and over again. When he's at it, he's great. And he's got the quality to deliver even goals that you wouldn't think of. We saw that incredible long-range shot against Antwerp. And was it Antwerp? Am I right in saying that?
Standard Liège, was it?
It was Standard Liège, sorry. Yes, it was another Belgian team. So we know he's capable of unbelievable quality. He's a good finisher. He gets himself in dangerous positions. He's really good in the air. But I'm totally with you, Derek, in terms of just not having the reliability factor that you need. And he's on a big wage. Walter Zenger's pointing this out in the comments. Listen, Walter, I totally agree with you. I'm getting there. He's giving me pelters. And this is a major factor for me in Roof's future. I would not be surprised, Derek, if should a suitable offer come in, Rangers would seriously consider it for Kemar Roof. I don't think this will have gone unnoticed. You look at the profile that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is going for now, and he is going for more physically robust types. You know, he likes big physical guys. It's less of a technical trickery element to the signings that he's making that certainly was always there with Steven Gerrard's guys. It was always looking for people who could handle the ball. And I think there's a more of a physicality to the kind of signings that we're seeing from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst so far. But I think maybe it's time for Kemar Roof to move on somewhere else and start again in terms of his career. I don't know what you think about that, Derek. I know there's a temptation to say, you know, he's a good player though. But I just wonder, you know, from Rangers' point of view, there's an awful lot of players in this squad. If you look at him, you look at Hollander. You know, I want to be fair to John Souttar, but just looking at his injury history, he has had injuries. He's no getting away from that. Ryan Jack's another one who's had injury problems. It's an awful lot that you know that are good players on their day, but they're going to have fitness issues, aren't they?
You don't mind one or two players that are sort of injury prone and you can carry them, but when you've got a whole host of them, Phil Hollander's one, Jack's one, Roof, I think, like I said, he's been plagued by niggling injuries through most of his career. Alan raises a good point here, Johnny. Says, what do you think would be a suitable offer for Roof? That's a question, because who's going to come in knowing his track record with injuries? I don't know if you're going to get much in the way of a transfer fee with his based on what you're going to get in terms of output. So that's a big question. I don't think he's going to go to the Premier League Championship club, perhaps. Could they afford the wages that he's on? I'm not too sure. But again, he's one that he has to get back fit. And it remains to be...
You know, Roof is 29. He's going to be 30 in January.
Yeah.
Contracted for another 2 years. I think, given his quality, given what he's done in the Europa League in terms of the goals he's scored, it's clear when he's fit, he's capable. I think if you could get £2 million or £3 million for Kemar Roof, it would be a pretty reasonable offer. But I do understand there was a significant outlay when he was brought in. I think he went to Anderlecht for £8 million. I know Rangers didn't pay that for him, but it was an undisclosed fee at the time. But I'm led to believe it was around £4 million from the reports that were shooting around at the time. I've not been told that specifically by someone close to the club, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think if you can get the money in for Roof, that would be around £2 to £3 million. I think given what he's delivered, especially last season and the run last season, but also previous seasons, you would probably accept that. I think that would be a good one for me, and if hopefully you can get a good move for the player as well.
Yeah. I think you can't disagree too much in the way of that, Johnny. I mean, he's a terrific player, as we say, but it's no good if he's on the treatment table every second week, and they can't rely on him. And then I mentioned there, Phil Hollander's another one. Can you rely on him? It was very unfortunate what happened to him at St Mirren. You're thinking that's him back after a long-term layoff. He's another one where, for me, best out and out defender at the club. Well, that's until the emergence of Calvin Bassey. But do you cash in on him, and what club would be willing to pay money for Phil Hollander? So I think those are the players I wouldn't be surprised to see move out the door, come before the window slams shut, as they say. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there will be any suitors for them.
Yeah. One of the things that Mary Cunningham has to impart is physicality, Johnny. The two signings look skinny to me, pal. Well, listen, I hand over to my colleague Derek Clark, who's chatted to Antonio Kolak now on 2 occasions and has stood next to him. Now, guys, I want you to know Derek is a physical monster. He's a big lad. He's about 6'4", and he's built like a bloody tank. He's a former personal trainer. So listen, Derek, you're in a good place to measure up against Mr. Kolak. Is he a big guy?
He looks like he can handle himself, Johnny. I wouldn't be too worried about him in the Scottish football. I actually asked him about this because he obviously has played in Sweden, and he's looking forward to the physicality of the Scottish game. He'll be okay. Don't worry about him. He's well built. He's over 6 foot, big target man. Can win balls in the air, which Rangers are crying out for. Yeah, don't worry about him, Mary.
Good.
Tom Lawrence, the same. Like I said, when I've seen him,
yeah,
he knows how to get about the pitch. He doesn't get shoved off the ball easily. So, and as I mentioned in that pre-season friendly, isn't afraid to get stuck in, even in friendlies. So, as long as he stays on the right side of the law, then I'm sure that both of them will be great additions and will add a bit of physicality to the team.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Tom Lawrence, I mean, he's 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", depending on what you read, because there's various heights here, but they're all within roughly a small amount of each other. So
yeah,
he's not the tallest, but you don't survive as a championship winger unless you can
it's
handle.
It's a brutal division, Johnny, down there, and yeah.
You need to be able to handle the rough stuff. There's no doubt. I mean, of all the leagues in Europe, that's right up there. So yeah, that's something that I think you can say safely that he's going to be able to handle. The Championship is definitely, in terms of physicality, as physical as the Scottish Premiership, if not more so. So I don't think there's any worries about that.
I mean, they're not in the sort of Mark Yardley body shape, Johnny, but I don't think any player is that sort of shape these days. But I'm sure they'll be fine, and I'm sure that they'll cope with the demands of Scottish football.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the actual centre where Rangers are doing their work, Derek, you've got a piece coming to the website, as you've already mentioned, looking at the whole setup there. I think you were very impressed. Can you just give us, without giving away what's in the piece, just give us a brief rundown of what happened today in terms of your wee tour and what you saw and how impressed you were by the facilities here in Portugal?
Yeah, well, I need to thank Grant, who gave me a tour of the complex this afternoon. The campus, it's called, in the Algarve. A wonderful place, Johnny. Lots of tennis courts. There's fantastic gym facilities, all the recovery stuff that you need, plunge pools and spas and what have you, as well as the pitch, which is where Rangers were training on this morning and have been doing all week. Well, I was told it was one of the best pitches on the planet. So much so, PSG actually said that why is our pitch not as good as this? I was told. So that tells you how good the facilities are. A fantastic place. I've seen Virgil van Dijk just having a game of tennis as well. Casually, I've seen pictures of him earlier on in the week. He's still here with his family. And it's just a high-class facility, Johnny. So I was really lucky to be shown around, given that sort of backstage access and look at how the facilities that Rangers have been using. And they're absolute top drawer. A lot of the big clubs in Europe book the place out. Rangers are not the only ones. So it's brilliant to get a behind the scenes tour of the place. I'll write up a piece, as I mentioned, that will appear on the website over the weekend. But yeah, I mean, a lot of clubs come to the Algarve, Johnny, to do pre-season training. The host of teams coming out here, but that place, I was told, obviously Grant works for the campus, but I'm told that is the sort of creme de la creme and the best place that clubs can go to, and I can't really disagree with them, having walked around it. Really was something else.
Yeah, I've got a question here from Stuart Grant. Why does Johnny not go on these great jollies as the boss man? Stuart, that's a really good question, and what I'm mulling over more and more as time goes on, and I think it's something I need to really, really take cognizance of, letting these two young swines go away and enjoy themselves while I'm stuck here in Glasgow. It's definitely something I'm going to consider as time goes on. Question from Alan, Stewart, Laurie Hall, and guys, keep the questions coming. We're going to be on for a wee while tonight. We're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, which is why Derek is chugging his Super Bock.
When in Rome.
Yes, when in Rome, absolutely. Listen, you've earned it. Is Sunderland using this same campus, do you know? Are they floating around as well, Derek, or are they elsewhere ahead of this game tomorrow night?
No, they are elsewhere. I believe they're, I was told they're around 45 minutes away from where the game's played tomorrow, Albufeira. It's quite spread out here now, Garv. There's sort of camps up in the hills all over the place. So it's a wee bit, they're a wee bit away. But a lot of clubs are over here. Sheffield United are here. Bolton were here a few weeks ago. Porto are here as well. Lots of clubs from all over Europe come here, Johnny. So it really is a hotbed for pre-season camps. But Sunderland, no, they're not in the same sort of facility as Rangers. I don't know where they are, to be honest, but I was told it was 45 minutes away from the game tomorrow night, which is a small ground. Someone's joked to me it's like a public park. Apparently, I've been told it only holds about 1,800 people. But I'm sure from the pictures I've seen, there's lots of vantage points that fans that have made their way over can watch the game tomorrow night. And I was told it's been played at 8 p.m. So hopefully a wee bit cooler at night time and not during the afternoon. It's absolutely sweltering, really is energy sapping. But 8 p.m. should be a bit cooler tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot of comments here just about the game tomorrow night, Derek. Very interesting to see what our 11 will be tomorrow, says CGM 55. I want to see a strong first 11 and then change it up at half time. Is that your impression of how it'll go?
No idea, to be honest with you. I think a number of players will get a run out. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Really excited to see Cholak. I think we will see him. Let's say he came through the training this morning. That was his first session with the team. So excited to see him. It remains to be seen what the team will be tomorrow. Of course, you've got a number of goalies on the books as well. The goalies were going to put through the paces this morning. McGregor, McCrory and McLaughlin are here. It remains to be seen what's going to happen, who's going to play amongst them. But I'd imagine a number of players have got to run out. It's just one game they've got over here, of course, and then they go to Blackpool next week, where it might be a completely different team there. Who knows? But yeah, I can expect a number of players to get a run out tomorrow. Really looking forward to the game. I've just been starved of football for a wee while now, haven't we? So looking forward to getting it back underway again.
Stevino Cadinho, do you think Aribo will stay for the UCL qualifier? Hence Gio's interview about the near future. I'd be absolutely amazed. I don't think so, Stevino. Derek, what do you think?
No, I think it's only a matter of time. I think Aribo was going through his medical. I was hearing today, so I think that's only a matter of time before he's paraded as a Southampton player. Wish him all the best. I think it'll be brilliant for them down there. I think it's a good club for him. But yeah, I mean, miracles do happen.
I was touting him for a 60 million move earlier on today and getting slaughtered on here for it.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if that. I think he will get sold for a bigger fee. Southampton are pretty much a sort of one of those clubs, a springboard club that players go to before going into a bigger side, aren't they? So I wouldn't be surprised.
Derek, you have been drinking, but I mean, what I was trying to say simply that English football, anything can happen in terms of money if you've got talent down there. Nobody would have expected Virgil van Dijk to go for £80 million. After his move from Celtic to Southampton and then Southampton to Liverpool for that kind of money. We all thought Van Dijk was a good player, just like we all think Aribo's a good player, but I don't think anybody would have expected him to become the best defender in world football on the back of it. So I think, listen, if Aribo puts everything that he has in his locker together, I think he could quite easily become a very, very good player and net Rangers an absolute fortune in this sell-on fee. But Time will tell. Time will tell. So, a few more questions here, Derek. Let's get stuck right into them. Stuart Grant's asking, do you think the signing of Tom Lawrence will keep Lowry back from the first team? That's a good question. I'd hate to see him struggle for game time when he could be the next Ian Durrant. I'll go first on that one, Derek.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about Tom Lawrence, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but he is naturally, I think, more of a left-sided starting position as a winger. But he's capable of playing up front, left, right, or as a 10. So for me, I just see him as a guy who's going to be able to plug a lot of holes for Rangers in the course of the season, especially given he loves to have a shot. He's got a goal in him. So a lot of these games that Rangers play require guys who are confident in front of goal, and that's just going to be huge, I think. I mean, if you can get 9 goals in 30 games from Derby in the Championship, there's no reason why you can't get 20 goals for Rangers.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to sort of harm Alex Lowry's chances of getting a chance in the first team. I think he'll get an ample amount of opportunities this season.
Especially with Hagi out.
Exactly. And I think it was unfair to just expect him to come in and be like a mainstay in the side. I think he'll be a very good squad player. Remember, this is just a young kid. He's just had his first taste of first-team football the second half of last season. I know he's 19 and he's not a 15, 16-year-old, but I think he'll have a big part to play next season. I think Van Bronckhorst will use him wisely. I think he'll get more run-outs than what we've seen last season, of course, just more so in the cup games. I think he's a brilliant talent, and I think we'll see that. I don't think the fact Tom Lawrence is signed is going to prevent him from making an impression. And like you say, Johnny, I mean, injuries happen through the course of the season. Hagi is out for the foreseeable. So you just want options, especially in that sort of attacking midfield forward areas. It's areas of the pitch Rangers struggled last season domestically. They need to improve big time if they want to win the league title back. And those two players certainly, I think, will have a big say next season.
This is a good question. I suppose it's the $1 million question. Scott McKellar asking, do you think anyone else will leave Rangers this transfer window? I mean, from my point of view, Derek, you've got 2 players there, Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent, who I'm always going to say you should probably look to sell if you can get a decent amount of money for them if they won't sign on. Now, I think the Connor Goldson deal probably has changed perceptions a little bit, because I absolutely would have advocated selling Connor Goldson for a long period of the last few seasons if I'd thought that he would be able to run his contract down. I don't think that's often the right move, but it did prove to be the right move. The club were vindicated absolutely on their strategy on that one. And perhaps that shows us that they've earned a little bit of trust to handle it in the right way. You know, there's been a lot of criticism about Ross Wilson and the way he's handled these contract renegotiations, the fact that they haven't negotiated. But as we've said in the Rangers Review videos many times before, there's a micro and there's a macro in football, and the macro is that more and more players are running to the end of their contracts because the COVID situation has affected every club, has affected the bottom line of every club, and that means that in a world where if a player does well they expect a rise, it's often very difficult to fund that if you've got a star player there. Now, I'm not saying that Rangers won't or can't fund it. They might well do, and they're in negotiations with both players. But it's never easy. It's never easy to get these kind of deals over the line. And I think that's something that everyone has to be aware of. Now, I'd love for those 2 guys to stay, but I'd be surprised if both of them stayed without signing a new contract. There's a long way to go between now and August and the end of this transfer window. So I still think these players that will depart. I think Kemar Roof will probably depart if there's an offer for him. I mean, you've got to ask yourself questions about other players in that team. I think there's a lot of potential in that midfield for a player to go. There's several players there. If you've renewed Arfield, if you've renewed Stephen Davis, it's quite congested. There's a lot of spaces in there. There's a lot of faces in there. Sorry. Perhaps that's an area where someone like Glenn Kamara could go. Although again, I like Glenn Kamara a lot as a player as well. Not somebody you'd want to go, but this is going to be part of every pre-season going forward. I mean, it's Rangers' stated strategy, Derek, the player trading model. You bring these players in, just like they've done with Joe Aribo, Glenn Kamara, they brought in for 50k, and you develop them and you move them on, and you do it with 1 or 2 players every summer, and you use that to reinvest and bring in players who can help take the club forward. So I definitely think more will leave. Who they'll be, we don't know. We don't have any information on that. The club are still in negotiations, keeping their cards close to their vest, as you would expect. And you would never count anything out. That's what Connor Goldson has taught us.
Yeah, totally agree. And I see a couple of comments on Kamara. Rangers would bring in a hefty fee for him should he go.
Yep.
And I think he's one where you could, based on the numbers of midfielders that they have at the club, you could deal with him leaving. Heavily congested, like you see. I've seen a few comments earlier on about Stephen Kelly. Again, he showed up well in pre-season, but will he get a chance under Giovanni van Bronckhorst? It remains to be seen. He could be another one that may move away from the club. I think if he's not going to get an opportunity this season, Stephen Kelly, then for the sake of his own career, he has to go. He has to leave. But there's other players there that I expect to go. There's a lot of players that I don't expect to feature in the first team squad, the likes of Jack Simpson, Nikola Katic, the jury remains out. Like you say, Ruth Hollander for me is in that category as well. I can see being moved on before the window closes. But like you say, the transfer market is volatile at the best of times. Might not see deals done until later on in the window. So it's just about how you react and make sure that you, as Giovanni van Bronckhorst has said before, you want to, when the window closes, you want to make sure that your squad is in a better shape than it was when the window opened at the start. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who goes. But of the players you mentioned, Kent and Morelos, I think, of course, as we heard, that they are in negotiations about extending their deals. If no agreement can be reached, can you risk the two of them running them down like Connor Goldson last season?
Yeah.
I think, well, I wrote a piece about interest in Morelos, a reported figure of, £6 million. I would rather just get rid of him next season for nothing than take the money. I think it'd be worth a lot more to Rangers for this season coming up than sell him for that. But those are the big ones. You want to tie them down to secure the club financially, but also on the park as well. I went on record, of course, saying Ryan Kent needs to produce more in terms of assists and goals in the league. But they're two blockbuster players, aren't they, Johnny? You want to keep hold of your best players, and especially Morelos for me. There's no way Rangers can go out and buy a like-for-like replacement. It has to be another project player and try and develop him. Morelos is unlike any other striker I've seen at Ibrox in my time watching them. So, especially him, you'd want him to sign a new deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Derek. I mean, if we ever criticise Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos, these criticisms are fleeting, never being doubt. They've been terrific players for Rangers. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Got another question here from CGM55, and this is a good one. From what I can tell, Lawrence won't solve the right winger debacle. There has been a lot of potential players coming in to fill that role, but no one really grasped the metal there, have they, really, since Daniel Candeias, Derek? Scott Wright made a good fist of it towards the end of last season, but the jury, I think, is still out on that, and I think that's absolutely fair on Scott Wright. He's got to continue to prove himself and really establish himself over the course of this season. So CGM 55 continues. So we should still be in the market. Does anyone know if Diallo went on tour with Manchester United? He actually did. He did. He was part of the 31-man squad that travelled out with Manchester United and their new manager, Ten Hag. They were off to Thailand and Australia as part of Manchester United's pre-season plans. He's one of 31 players off there. Not actually that many youth players going in. Just goes to show you how big a squad United have. But there you go. He's off, so he's clearly considered, one of the men that's going to be involved in that squad. And whether or not he becomes available or not, I think will be a moot point and will depend on what the Dutch manager sees in the youngster. My own opinion, based on what I saw, I think I like him. I'd like to see him back at Rangers. I thought there was enough in his last 3 or 4 games to show what he could do over the long term. Do not think he will make it at Manchester United, Derek, at this point. This is way too early for him. I just think he's too lightweight and he's too raw to make it at a club of that size with the demands that they have. So I think that's still a wee bit ongoing. That's going to be a difficult one for him ongoing. But, he's just a kid. He's very young. What is he, 19, 18?
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time left for Amad Diallo to make the most of his future at Manchester United. I'm assuming that you also, would think that in general Amad would be a reasonable signing on loan.
Yeah, I would go along with that. Although there's one player that's not joined the Man United pre-season squad, Johnny. That's a certain Cristiano Ronaldo. So he's available. Rangers could possibly offer him Champions League football, which Man United can't. So. No, I think Amad Diallo, I would take him back. Yes, I know he splits opinion amongst supporters. I think he was perhaps unfairly criticised after Tannadice and of course Parkhead when he was thrust in and looked like a fish out of water. But we have to remember the boy's just a teenager. He's learning the game. He's learning the Scottish game, which is unlike any other league. It's a big step up from academy football to playing in Scotland. But then, of course, he comes with that hefty price tag, which is not his fault, of course. That's the fee that Man United paid. I would give him another opportunity. I felt that Giovanni van Bronckhorst was getting a tune out of him at the end of the season. And he certainly would provide a competent option over on that right-hand side. Like you say, for me, they haven't replaced Daniel Candeias as much as he had his faults at times. I think he had a great... he linked up really well with James Tavernier and Alfredo Morelos. And Rangers simply haven't replaced him over how many years is that now? 4 years or what he's been away. So, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Amad back. But that's if Ten Hag doesn't fancy him next season, which he's got. I don't think he's going to get an opportunity at Man United. That may not be true, but I would take him if the option is there to bring him back. I say bring him home.
Yeah, got a question from Gordon Cassidy. Do we know what the situation is with the lad signed from Bournemouth but hasn't played for us? That's Namdi Offabor. Derek, the situation with Offabor is he remains out and he has been spotted in and out of the club, and I think he does come back into the club, but he's obviously still undergoing medical work, medical tests, etc. And that doesn't look like it's a situation that's going to resolve itself anytime soon. I think the important thing to remember here is while people want to know how he's getting on, etc., it's a personal medical situation, and there's a lot of what's released is down to what the player wants to be released to the public, etc., and I think there's obviously ongoing situation there. So I think it's just one that people have to be patient over, and I know it's been a year, but it's obviously an extremely serious situation.
Yeah, I'm told he's upbeat though, but he's itching to get back playing again. But it's one of those, Johnny. I mean, Connor Goldson was the same sort of situation with him. Your health comes first before playing professional sport. So it's just one of those ones. It's very unfortunate, but it's may have saved his life. Spotting that heart sort of defect. Tests are still being carried out, but don't expect him to see in a Rangers jersey anytime soon.
We've got a question that Stevie Cadinho keeps on asking about Mike Ashley and his companies continuing to I'm not going to put it up because it's full of bad words, naughty words. And it's not past the watershed, Stevie. But he's asking about why, there continues to be kit leaks by Sports Direct ahead of Rangers actually releasing them. It is a very, very strange situation, Stevino. I have to say, I don't know the full ins and outs of it, other than Sports Direct and Rangers don't have a good relationship. And I think that if they get an opportunity to be difficult and throw a spanner in the works, they throw a spanner in the works. It's petty, it's pathetic, it's beneath a big company like Sports Direct, but it's the way that they continue to operate by all accounts in releasing the kits ahead of the club themselves. As to what Rangers can do about it, I'm quite certain it's been worked on behind the scenes, because I don't think anyone will be particularly happy about it. But as to what can be done, I think this remains a a problem that dealing with Sports Direct when you have such a difficult relationship with them. It's not making it easy. What I would say is, Rangers fans should be cognizant of how this ongoing relationship is continuing, and vote with their feet in terms of where they want to spend their money. Now, I wouldn't ever tell anyone to spend their money anywhere. It's up to them how they want to go about it. But if you feel strongly about it, then I would urge you to vote with your feet.
But and I'm not saying this is linked. I've seen a couple of some Newcastle supporters tweeting that were receiving their jerseys with Rangers packaging on it with the old Rangers logo on it, which it screams to me that's sort of same sort of pettiness. But that's the way.
It's just unbelievable pettiness.
Yeah.
And it doesn't speak very well of Sports Direct as a company that they would get so bent out of shape by something that's nearly a decade old. This kind of animus, or certainly the beginnings of it. So for them to still to maintain this kind of ridiculous stance, it's a bizarre one. It's an absolutely bizarre one. Aldo McNaught has arrived. Evening, lads. Thanks, Aldo. Good to see you. Fire any questions you might have onto us, and we'll try and answer them. A few people saying that it is difficult with Sports Direct as they have good stuff for your kids. I totally get that. I like a pair of Skechers now and then, and Sports Direct is the cheapest place to buy Skechers. There are other Skechers places, so there's a temptation there to then go and purchase them. But while they're being so difficult, I do think that people should be aware of at least aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
In terms of other questions, Derek, we've got a few here. I think this one from Alan Douglas is a really, really important one. We'll come back to that one. Alan Douglas says, how come Derek hasn't burst into flames yet? Derek, how warm is it out there?
I was close earlier on. I was seeking shade at all times. That's it. We were when we spoke to Giovanni van Bronckhorst earlier. We said, "Will we speak to you outside?" And even he said, "No, get it inside." It was roasting even in the shade. It was so warm. It's in the 30s. Even when I was in my Uber coming back to the apartment, the driver said it was too warm, and he's Portuguese, so struggling, shall we say? That's what I'm saying. Tomorrow night, the game's at 8 p.m, which is. Thankfully, because you can't play football in this heat. It's way too warm. But I've got the Factor 50 Lallardon. I've had 3 helpings of that today already.
Did you bring any Factor 55 back from Seville?
I was looking all over the house for it. I'm sure I brought a Factor 55 back. And folks, if we gave that out, if you've seen us in Seville, then let us know if it done the job. But no, I've not got any Factor 55 with me, unfortunately.
In terms of heat, Derek, how does it compare to Seville? Is it just similar, or is it even hotter?
Seville was more humid, I would say, because of obviously more so on the coast next by the sea and what have you. It's a little bit more breezy. Yeah. But Seville, we all know, especially on match day, was crazy hot. It's the humidity more than anything else that was energy sapping. So I would say Seville slightly edges it.
Okay. Aldo McNaught coming in with, what's this Reina rumour? Now, I was asked about this morning, and I suggested they'd come back. I don't know if it was Aldo, actually, but regardless, let's get stuck into this, Derek. Now, I spoke to someone who I trust, who's very close to German football, who said absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
That, now, obviously, this is the son of Claudio Reina. So, I mean, we know that he is named after the manager of Rangers. His name is Giovanni Reina. But at the same time, I think while there's close links with the family, etc., this is a guy that is, when he's fit, is a key part of Borussia Dortmund's team. He's had a bit of a difficult time with injury, but in terms of the way that Dortmund see the squad and see him, I think they really think he's going to be a key part going forward. Now, this is what this person's told me. So I understand what football's like, Derek. Tomorrow we could be on this podcast going, wow, what a signing this could be. But I really don't think there's legs in this one. This is a guy who is I think, thought of as one of the best young talents in German football. And I think you'd be talking mega bucks. Now, that means on loan, it might be what people are talking about. But even then, I don't think Dortmund would be that keen on him going away to have his development somewhere else. I might be totally wrong. As I say, I spoke to someone very close to Dortmund who completely blew it out of the water. So, never say never, but I'd be surprised. Derek, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, my take on it is after Aaron Ramsey, Johnny, I think anything is possible. So I'm not ruling this one out. As mad as it may seem.
You wouldn't say it's pie in the sky, Derek.
I'm not uttering those words on any player. I don't care who it is. Giovanni Reina, doubtful, I would say, but not impossible. I don't think. Someone saying he's friends with James Sands, of course, American international, but would love to see him at Ibrox. Can I see it this season? I'm not sure. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the. Carry on.
No, I like this. I was going to say, Johnny, there was a question that came in. We were talking about Skechers earlier on.
Yeah.
Blair says, dad shoes.
Well, so, I am a dad, so yes. You know what? I'm at that age though, Derek, where I just want comfort. I mean, I've got about 20 of these Adidas hoodies just because it's so comfy. I just don't care. I mean, I'm a shambles anyway. I'm a fashion shambles. So the fact that people think my Skechers are dad shoes, that's fine. They're so comfy. That's all I care about. Would you be not seen dead wearing Skechers, Derek? Are you?
I'm like you, Johnny. I'm not really a catalogue man. Don't really care much for brand names. So, listen, if Skechers do the business for you, then I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, you're popping down Tesco's for your own brand T-shirts and all that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
Asda do the best and most affordable flip-flops or sliders, as the kids call them, but take them back and the dog eats them within 5 minutes, but they only cost £5. They other supermarkets are available, of course, but they're great for 5 minutes and then they're a dog toy.
Well, I would only ever wear Crocs in those situations. When I go on holiday,
that's controversial.
That's what I'm going for, mate. I think they're incredibly comfy. I mean, my wife absolutely despises them, which is part of the reason I like them so much, to be honest. It really puts her nose out when I pack up the Crocs to go away to Italy or Spain or whatever. She's not having it. She thinks it looks like like ridiculous. But yeah. So there you go. But Crocs and the Skechers. That's my footwear. Right. You've got Sambas too, Johnny. I actually do have a pair of Sambas, mate. I do.
Yeah, they don't make shoes like them anymore. I had a pair of them back in the day. Class. Mary Cunningham should be live at the Apollo with jokes like that. Do you not wear Clark shoes?
Oh,
did when I was a kid who didn't have their feet measured in that big machine at Clark's. Fantastic childhood memory of that. But no, I can't afford Clark shoes. It's an absolute fortune in there. Yeah,
it's pretty expensive nowadays, isn't it? Right, okay, listen, we're clearly running out of things to talk about. We're going deep into the shoe wear scenario for the pair of us. It's time for you to get onto your dinner, get some beers. I think if anyone wants to have a wee deek at Derek's Twitter, he does a nice turn in sort of wee food pictures if you're wanting to live vicariously, as I do. Some fantastic looking sardines last night, Derek. Did they go down as well as they looked?
Sensational, Johnny. They really were. Straight from the seabed. It's known, this Quartera is where I am in the Algarve. It's known for its fish, fresh fish. There's 2 fish restaurants down below me. You basically just pick your fish out from the little stalls that they've got. It is if you like your fish, then you'll love this place. I know I was getting a lot of folk tweeting me saying, I can't believe how you can eat that stuff. It is amazing. I love that. When in Rome, as they say. But looking to sample a bit of fish tonight. So if you're in Quartera, then certainly to make the most of it.
Okie doke, folks. Right, thank you very much for staying with us in this very special Friday night edition of the Morning Briefing, which isn't even in the morning, it's at night. But there you go. Listen, before we go, just a quick word from our sponsors, because I've forgotten to do it twice in a row now today. We are, of course, sponsored by the wonderful OneFootball app. You can see it here. It is tremendous. It is a one-stop shop for all your footballing needs. If you can jump on there, download it for free, you can select the team that you follow and it will send you all the latest updates on what's happening, be that live match scores or gossip or lineups. All of that is on the OneFootball app. And it doesn't just have to be Rangers, obviously. It can be any old football team from around Europe. Say you're a Man United fan, a Chelsea fan, an AC Milan fan. It's all on there too, and you can set it up for notifications. So it's a terrific free app that we recommend, and they sponsor us and enable us to do these videos. So thank you very much to OneFootball. Right, Derek, we're going to call it a day at that. We are also going to be back on tomorrow, aren't we? We're going to do a little bit after the game. We chat after the game between the two of us, and we'll delve into what happened there. That'll be tomorrow night, time permitting. But until then, we'll catch up with everyone later. You can obviously subscribe to the Rangers Review at the moment. It's 2 months coverage for £2, so cracking deal on there. Then it reverts to the usual price of £2.99. So get on there, www.rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe, and help support us to produce the content that we do. Okay, guys, until next time, thanks for watching.